I'm joined by James Creedon. Good evening to you, James. This time yesterday, we were talking about the immediate reaction to the shocking news of the beheading of the French national Hervé Gourdel in Algeria. What's been the reaction now that we have had 24 hours or so to digest that shocking news?
All right. Well, in particular, it's been interesting to look at the French Muslim population and how they've been reacting. And indeed, they've called for a large gathering in front of the Paris mosque on Friday. There was an immediate reaction from the French Council of the Muslim Faith, the same organisation that is calling for this gathering on Friday, speaking of their horror at this news. And there's meant to be another gathering as well on Sunday at Place de la République in central Paris. There was also this article, amongst many others, in the French right-leaning paper Le Figaro today, signed by many French Muslim intellectuals, lawyers, journalists, editors, etc., saying that we too are dirty French, that being a direct reference to words taken from the terrorist organisation behind the beheading of Hervé Gourdel, referring to dirty, les sales Français, dirty French people, and French Muslims saying, well, that also includes us, you know, that we are also being tarred with the same brush. Now, very bizarrely for Le Figaro, on the one hand, they published this article signed by several Muslim and French Muslim intellectuals, and then they put out a poll which they quickly took offline, as this tweet says, our question of the day has regrettable interpretations, we've decided to pull it offline. But here we have a screen grab of it. Do you think that the condemnation by French Muslims has been sufficient, is the poll, which is a completely ridiculous leading question, which infers that French Muslims hadn't sufficiently condemned the assassination. So a ridiculous question, and also clearly yesterday and today we've seen just countless expressions from the French Muslim population, whether it be on social media or whether it be via official spokespersons, of just how horrified they are, Tom. So a lot of people, Julien Salang, who is a media analyst in France, saying, would you expect, for example, French Catholics to, have they sufficiently condemned paedophilia in the Catholic Church, for example? I mean, it's sort of, that's the comparison that he is making. It is ridiculous to expect Muslims to have to condemn something that they don't in any way share in terms of values, etc.
Hardly seems like a helpful question, does it, at this time?
Exactly, and in fact, Rue 89 picked up on it, and they started a hashtag saying, a hashtag which picked up on that, saying, we have also not asked, or something along those lines. For example, Caucasian people to distance themselves from the KKK, or from Anders, what was it, Anders Bering's crusade. I mean, so I think those sort of remarks pick up on just how ridiculous, in fact, most people found that Le Figaro poll, which was quickly taken offline. So even Le Figaro found it ridiculous. I think it was a case of the right hand not speaking to the left hand at Le Figaro today, because they didn't even look at their own output, which an article published by their own newspaper indeed showed the extent to which there had been condemnation. Tom.
Let's move on now to a French political story regarding the comeback, the long-awaited, much-touted comeback of the former president Nicolas Sarkozy. Yes. He's holding his first rally this evening.
That's right. For many reasons he's in the news today, and that principally he is holding his first political rally in Lille in the north of France this evening. But it appears that he also, within hours of the death of Hervé Gourdel, he made direct contact, Tom, with the family of Mr. Gourdel, phoning them directly. Now, I suppose some people are saying that was just an expression by a former president of his solidarity. Others saying that it was actually possibly inappropriate, really, taking on the role of officialdom when he currently has no official role of that nature. So some people saying it was cynical and opportunistic, and perhaps he shouldn't have done that. Perhaps it was well-meaning, perhaps it was cynical, who knows. In any case, also, a lot of people saying this week that this article in L'Express.fr from members of the UMP party who have been added to lists that support Nicolas Sarkozy. Apparently, that not all of those lists have been verified, and perhaps the extent of the support that he enjoys might have been somewhat exaggerated. So all this week, Tom, there have been elements in the news of various different angles about Nicolas Sarkozy. This perhaps is one of the more amusing aspects, even though perhaps it's also a little bit I'm not sure how amusing some would find it. Nicolas Sarkozy is alleged to have said to Alain Juppé, who is the former foreign minister, former prime minister, also hoping to take over the right-leaning UMP party. He is allegedly to have said to him, "I'm going to kill you." This in a rather heated argument that they had about whether or not the UMP party should have primaries in order to select the next leader of the party. Nicolas Sarkozy is in favour of just being selected himself without any primary process. As a former president, that he is above such a process. Alain Juppé, hoping to take that position as well, is hoping to do so via primaries. And clearly they had a big row, and Nicolas Sarkozy allegedly, according to the Canard Enchaîné weekly newspaper, said, I'm going to kill you. And Alain Juppé said, well, you know where to find me, which all sounds rather heated. And the satirical paper Le Gorafi picked up on that, and you have headlines such as this now: Juppé saying to Sarkozy, don't make me get my gun out, which is only slightly exaggerating what he allegedly said, which is, you know where to find me. In any case, sounds like tensions are running high and tempers are flaring within the UMP party, Tom, about...
Not for the first time either. Let's just end quickly with a story about a recipe for noodles that has appeared in the Chinese press. What's
All right.
About?
This is, you know the way people talk about fast food or being somewhat addictive sometimes. Well, this is taking it to a whole new level. It turns out that in the northern Shanxi province, one restaurant owner was lacing his noodles with poppy seeds, which is essentially opium, in a bid to get his customers addicted, and so that they would he'd have return custom. And indeed, one guy arrested for a road traffic offence tested positive for illegal substances, and that was what set the investigation in motion. Liu Juo, 26 years old, tested positive during a routine urine test because he was eating opium-laced noodles. Very addictive, apparently.
Yes, well, I thought they were quite good anyway. They look quite delicious, and they've certainly got me a little hungry, those noodles there.
Perhaps without Class A drugs.
But I thought that poppy seeds needed to be refined in order to make them an opiate. But maybe my science didn't serve me well.
Or maybe indeed he was putting in some sort of refined version. But in any case, it was apparently 2 kilograms of poppy shells, the bud of the plant in which poppy seeds are found. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on the matter, but apparently it was keeping the customers coming back.
It sounds like a lot of poppy seeds. So perhaps that's what swung the scale against him in that test. Well, thank you for that. That was MediaWatch with James Creedon. Remember, you can always check out our own website, france24.com, where you'll find all the news in English, French and Arabic there. That's france24.com. There you are. That is our top story there. And in fact, we have a United Arab Emirates female fighter pilot being profiled there. She is, of course, the first female fighter pilot from the United Arab Emirates to take part in that bombing campaign against Islamic State organization targets in Iraq and inside Syria. And there's a profile on that on our website. Well, that's it from me. I'll be back in a couple of minutes with the top stories. Meanwhile, do stay tuned to France 24.
Many of the bodies of
Phnom Penh revisited. From 1975 to 1979, an entire population was subjected to forced labor by its leaders. Massacres, executions, persecutions. Cambodians were the victims of the 20th century's third genocide. Although the wounds